sell life insurance.
Idea. Low. is a real question.